Now on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14, the U.S. military informs families about their loved ones passing after a blast in Afghanistan.
7 area winners have been announced in the Missouri vaccine lottery. I'm Bronte Sorosky with how one Joplin man feels to be one of the lucky few.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. One of the 13 U.S. service members killed in a suicide bombing Thursday in Afghanistan was a Marine who grew up in the St. Louis area. 20-year-old Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz of Wentzville. Schmitz's dad says his son was among a group sent back to Afghanistan to assist with evacuation efforts. He learned of his son's death when Marines came to his home at 2:40 this morning. In response to that attack, the U.S. tonight launched an airstrike, killed an Islamic State member in Afghanistan, a still developing story. The mission in Afghanistan will only become more difficult and more dangerous. That's the warning to the president from his advisors. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard has more from Washington on the race against the clock to get people out from Kabul by Tuesday.
My heart goes out, our hearts go out to all those who we've lost.
More attacks are likely. That was the message to President Biden from his national security team.
We will complete the mission.
We're monitoring these threats very, very specifically, virtually in real time.
Now flags flying at half-staff for the 13 service members killed Thursday outside the Kabul airport gates by a suicide bomber. Nearly 200 Afghans also died. Friday, families waited outside local hospitals. Hundreds were injured in the blast. Despite the danger, people desperate to leave the country were once again near airport gates. The Pentagon says they are working to improve security while still evacuating thousands before Tuesday's deadline to withdraw.
You'll see us adjust as necessary to make sure that we're achieving that proper balance, but we will be able to fly out evacuees right up until the last moment.
The president's critics say the deadline should be extended.
It is very complicated now because of all the resources we pulled out of Afghanistan. That's just the flat truth of it.
And say by dealing with the Taliban, the president has opened America to future possible terror attacks.
In order to continue to evacuate any American citizen who was not yet prepared to leave, who wants to leave, third country nationals and Afghans with visas, we will need to coordinate with the Taliban.
What we will be looking for are deeds, not words.
The White House press secretary says President Biden doesn't want those responsible for the attack to live on this earth any longer. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
A Kansas City Councilwoman and Missouri Congressman are working together to try and bring an Afghan refugee and his family to safety. Emily Rittman spoke to Teresa Lohr about the phone calls she received from the family who escaped an attack at the Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul.
When Teresa Lohr learned about the violent and deadly attack in Afghanistan, she immediately reached out to a man who she considers a close friend. KCTV5 News is not identifying him due to safety concerns.
They were at the airport this morning, waiting at the gate to be allowed in, and when the bomb went off. And he said, "We're okay," and then he left me a voicemail. We don't know what's happened. There was an explosion, then there was a lot of shooting. We don't know who's shooting at us, but we're running for our bus.
Lohr eventually got word that he and all of his family members reached a safe house. She is unsure what the future holds now.
We've been trying for about 10 days now. I've been working with Congressman Cleaver, and he and I have been burning the midnight oil trying to get him out.
She's also worried about other Afghan allies. She is also trying to help evacuate an 18-year-old woman.
It's especially bad for women and girls. I have one little girl that I've helped get through school at this point in time, and she's 18 now.
In Kansas City, Jewish vocational service staff are offering support to Afghans who fear for the lives of their loved ones who are still in Afghanistan.
We have somebody from Afghanistan on staff, and they spent the afternoon on the phone trying to be in touch with their relatives that are still back in Kabul, and so it just heightens all of that anxiety and the fear of the unknown, not knowing if the people that you love are safe, not knowing if this changes their opportunity to make their way here to the United States, where they don't have to fear for their lives.
Jewish Vocational Service is also collecting donations to help Afghan refugees once they arrive in Kansas City. Since 2015, JVS has helped bring 185 Afghans to Kansas City.
A sofa to a sponge, we are looking for all of those things so that when people come here, we can greet them and take them to a home that is furnished and ready for them to settle in.
Lohr plans to continue working with Congressman Cleaver to hopefully safely evacuate families and women.
Absolutely. I'm not giving up by any stretch of the imagination. We're so close to getting those folks out.
Nick Kelly joining us now with the first look at the forecast. Tired of this heat, Nick Kelly.
Well, we're trying to get a little break from it, Jordan. It's just a shame that Mother Nature didn't quite get the hint for this afternoon. After we started at 74, easily jumping back to 94 degrees. Despite some partly sunny skies this afternoon and maybe a random shower or two around Table Rock Lake, Mount Vernon, Miller over in the eastern parts of the viewing area. That was about it, really. Most of us are sitting underneath mostly clear skies right now, but that is going to help us out as we go through the rest of the night. Yes, we're still quite warm, lower to middle 80s, but a quick look at the day ahead showing everybody dropping back to about 73. So mild to start the morning ahead out, but we got to go back just barely hot tomorrow, Jordan. 92 degrees, maybe a stray storm, but a little relief from the heat on the way here in just a bit.
Nick Kelly, thank you. Freeman Health System says it is safe for new mothers to nurse their babies after getting the COVID-19 vaccine. Health experts at a media briefing today said the vaccine should be offered to women during and after pregnancy. They say the vaccines have a proven safety record, and the antibodies they offer can be passed down from mother to child in the womb and through breastfeeding.
We have studies that have documented transmission from mom to baby, so we think there is placental transfer of both a natural immunity, so if you just had COVID infection, you can transport those antibodies to your baby, or if you have the vaccine, you make antibodies, you can transport that to your baby.
Freeman says it continues to see an increase in patients dealing with severe COVID-19 symptoms. We are seeing more containment of the COVID-19 outbreak in general, but hospitalizations across the country still skyrocketing. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Siri has more now from Atlanta.
The new COVID surge could be flattening out. We're now averaging about 142,000 cases every day in the U.S. That's up just 3% from last week as more containment efforts go into place. But hospitalizations are still significantly elevated. There are more than 100,000 Americans being treated in hospitals for COVID-19, a level we have not seen since January. And healthcare centers in COVID hotspots are becoming increasingly overwhelmed, with some forced to shut down emergency rooms due to a lack of space.
You've got a lot of patient hours that need to be accounted for with nursing staff, with rooms available.
Across the country, vaccination rates are ticking up, especially among young people. More than half of 12 to 17-year-olds are now at least partially vaccinated, with the White House pushing mandates as the best way to get shots in arms. But there is a growing backlash, especially among teachers in big school districts like New York.
I'm a centrist, I like liberty, and I would prefer to die a free man.
Federal health officials are also gearing up to start promoting vaccine booster shots. The White House would like to begin providing the shots to the general public as early as September 20.
The question raised is, should it be shorter than 8 months? Should it be as little as 5 months? And that's being discussed.
Doctors are also advising folks to get their seasonal flu shots as early as possible, warning against the possibility of a twindemic in the fall. In Atlanta, Jonathan Siri, Fox News.
The first round of winners have been announced in Missouri's COVID-19 incentive program, Mo VIP. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with one Joplin winner, how it feels to be one of the lucky few, as well as the state health department on whether the program has helped them raise state vaccination rates.
Back in July, the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services partnered with the Missouri Lottery to periodically draw 900 vaccinated Missourians to each win $10,000.
So now we have about 566,000 people that have registered to win the Mo VIP.
They've already announced the first 180 winners. Among the 7 local winners was Joplin resident Alex Carnes.
I woke up and I was like, wow, I think I just won $10,000, and looked back in the emails and I was just like, I guess that's what had happened.
Carnes received his first dose of the vaccine on July 26th and didn't know about the lottery at the time.
I was talking to my parents and they told me about the COVID vaccine lottery. I didn't even know it was a thing, and so I got onto the Department of Health and Senior Services website and lo and behold, saw it there, so I entered, and I guess I was the lucky one.
Although the state health department can't say for certain that the lottery caused the state's vaccine rates to go up, they think it could have helped some finally roll up their sleeves.
We can't say for certain, if it was the vaccine incentive program that really gave them the nudge they needed. We have heard anecdotally from some individuals that really that was the nudge that they needed to get going and try to win that money.
Now, Carnes, who works in the insurance industry, says he has a plan for when he gets his 10 grand.
Save and invest. Save and invest. I was a financial advisor. I'm an insurance agent. And that's kind of what we're taught and learned. It's kind of a crazy thing. Was never expecting it. I'm just going to keep living life as I normally would.
In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Newton County Health Department is going to have a vaccine lottery of its own. That drawing is going to take place on October 1st. We have more details, by the way, on our website. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Albert Dalton served in the U.S. Air Force, spending time in North Africa. He earned 2 air medals, also a Purple Heart. We are proud to thank and salute Albert Dalton, a native of Anderson, Missouri. He's tonight's four-state hero. Nick is next with a complete look at the forecast a bit later. Opening night for Missouri high school football. Highlights in sports.
We've been slowly trending downward on the thermometer, but we were still hot and a bit humid to start this weekend out. Doesn't change the fact that it still looked okay from Indigo Sky Casino Resort, despite a little cloud cover coming and going throughout the afternoon hours. We did hit 95, unfortunately continuing this hot and humid trend yesterday, but after we dropped to 75 this morning, at least the worst we did was just a little bit cooler, 93, 94 degrees, especially at Joplin Regional. Earlier today, that heat and humidity did result in heat advisories, but they expired about 2 hours ago. So our alert day that we had out for today is no longer in effect. And besides that, I was maybe keeping an eye on a few showers near Table Rock Lake, Mount Vernon and Miller in our southeastern counties, but I'm not seeing a drop of rain out there. The skies are looking pretty good as we take you outside the 7th and range line. 84 in Joplin and a calm breeze. Still dew point right around 70. That's why it still feels like 88 degrees outside. Most of us are as cool, if you want to call it that, is 80 around Fort Scott, Iola, and Nevada, and as warm as 86 down in Miami. But with the humidity out there, there are still a couple of spots that's trying to feel like the upper 80s out there, but we are trending downward as we continue throughout the course of the night with a light breeze out of the south and mostly clear skies right here. While we did have maybe a couple of thunderstorms around St. Louis and across the Kansas-Nebraska state line. At the surface, breaking down our weather setup, we still have this frontal boundary that will come our way by Sunday and Monday to try to change things up a bit. But the overall upper level setup still has us on the hot side of the jet, but as it sinks to the south over the next few days, that's going to help to bring that front to the north our way, to not only to give us better rain chances, but at least a chance to get out of the 90s, at least for highs, for a couple of days. In the meantime, though, we'll enjoy a mild start to our Saturday morning as overnight lows you can see all across the board, no matter where you are, including Joplin, dropping off to about 73 degrees first thing in the morning. I see us starting out with mostly sunny skies. Then throughout the day, the building heat and humidity will result in partly sunny skies and maybe a random storm in the afternoon. Kind of like today, though. Emphasis on miss rather than hit, if you want to call them hit or miss storms. I think highs around 92 in Joplin, everybody pretty much in the lower 90s for tomorrow. And thankfully, that little downward trend in temperatures once again means it's not going to feel so humid outside, maybe mid to upper 90s in terms of what it'll feel like against your skin for tomorrow afternoon. Quick look at what lies ahead, though. Here's Sunday, while the main weather story will be Ida, here showing it as either a strong Category 3 or a Category 4 hurricane before it makes landfall on the Louisiana coast. A jet stream setting up on top brings that front close enough to give us scattered storms for Sunday and Monday. Any moisture from Ida or influences from Ida will stay mainly to our south and east. But this jet stream starts shifting again by midweek. It's going to push that front back to the north and eventually send us back under that hot upper level ridge. So temperatures kind of all over the place, but trending downward at least for the next few days. Jordan, 92 tomorrow, 89 Sunday, 88 Monday. But once we lose the rain chances with that front, back into, I think, the mid-90s, especially by Thursday.
Nick Kelly, thank you so much. See you in a little bit, man. Coming up, the latest on preparations for Ida. Emergency declarations already in place. 27-year-old Sirhan, the man who assassinated U.S. Senator Robert F. Kennedy, was granted parole today. Two of RFK's sons spoke in favor of Sirhan's release, and prosecutors declined to argue he should be kept behind bars. Douglas Kennedy, who was a toddler when his father was gunned down back in 1968, said he was moved to tears by Sirhan's remorse. The ruling by the two-person parole panel today is going to ultimately be reviewed by the California Parole Board's staff. Hurricane Ida, as Nick Kelly was just talking about, threatens to hit the northern Gulf Coast as a major hurricane. President Biden approving an emergency declaration for Louisiana as people make final preparations. Fox's Anna Eliopoulos has more.
I have to take the boat home to this morning, come back after lunch. Tomorrow morning, take the camper home.
People along the Louisiana coast cutting their vacations short as Ida barrels toward the state. The storm gaining strength in the Caribbean Sea on Friday, soaking parts of Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Cuba. Forecasters expect Ida to intensify even further and slam into Louisiana on Sunday as a strong Category 3 hurricane.
The first effects of this will be happening Saturday night. There is not a lot of time. Generally, where you are on Saturday night is where you have to hunker down and stay.
The National Hurricane Center says the Gulf Coast area may see life-threatening storm surge, high winds, and heavy flooding. Ida could dump up to 16 inches of rain from southeast Louisiana to coastal Mississippi and Alabama through Monday morning, and around 20 inches could fall in other isolated areas.
This remains a very fluid situation, as most of these do, but very fluid. But we must and we will start seeing winds, as I'm told, as early as tomorrow night.
Louisiana's governor has issued an emergency declaration for the state, while mandatory evacuations are in effect for communities along the coast.
They better get out of here because it's not going to be good.
Ida will hit Louisiana just 1 year after Hurricane Laura. The Category 4 storm was considered one of the costliest in state history. Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
Next, going to check out the immediate future and challenges ahead of self-driving car companies. Future is a long and winding one as self-driving car companies are putting the metal to the pedal. Could be the other way around too, pedal to the metal. Trying to get their driverless cars to go mainstream. Fox News' Jill Nadeau has more on the challenges they're facing and when autonomous automobiles may be coming to a city near you.
Imagine all the things you could get done in the car if you didn't have to worry about driving it. That's the message a number of self-driving car companies are trying to get across to potential customers.
We want to allow our riders to turn off and take their time back and sit back, relax.
Google's parent company, Alphabet Inc., and a growing number of driverless rideshare startups are trying to accelerate the pace self-driving cars can dominate the roadways. But experts say it's easier said than done.
The three biggest challenges for the autonomous driving is the technical, it's the regulation, and it's the consumer acceptance.
Although self-driving technology exists, many companies are still refining it, forcing a majority to keep a human driver in the front seat as an extra safety precaution, defeating the purpose of having a fully driverless car. But these obstacles aren't causing companies to slam on the brakes. Alphabet Inc. is currently testing its Waymo car service in San Francisco, California, after letting customers last year book cars in small pockets of Phoenix, Arizona. And officials over at startup Pony AI hope to remove their safety driver next year. Experts say the feedback they're getting during these tests is critical in helping to increase the comfort, safety, and convenience factors for customers. And while self-driving cars are the way of the future, officials say it's just taking a little longer for the future to be fully realized. Jill Nadeau, Fox News.
Going to go from the future of cars to the future of French fries. Going to explain when we come back. All right, so this next story I submit to you with extreme skepticism. Wendy's, they say, has a solution for soggy French fries. Huh? The chain has created a French fry designed specifically to stay crisp. The hot and crispy French fries, launched this fall, going to be cut and coated with batter that Wendy's says We'll hold the fries up for about 30 minutes after customers order. We'll see about that, Wendy's. And you know what? Some people like soggy French fries, my wife being one of them. We'll see. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports. Coming away, thousands of refugees, thousands of stories. You're going to hear from some of the people who left Afghanistan hoping for a better life. Plus, the organizer of Free Mom Hugs is in Joplin. Going to be a guest speaker at tomorrow's JOMO Pride Fest. You'll learn how she's using hugs to help both members of the gay community and their parents. Coming up. Evacuation flights are once again taking off from Kabul, Afghanistan, a day after a suicide attack killed more than 100 people outside the airport. U.S. officials say more than 100,000 people have been safely evacuated, but thousands desperate to leave are still waiting for rescue. Reporter Bradley Blackburn explains.
Count these evacuees as the lucky ones, boarding planes bound for Spain, finding refuge in South Korea, filling buses in Rome. More than 120 Afghan refugees landed in Albania overnight and are being vetted now by U.S. security and immigration authorities. If all goes according to plan, they'll head to American soil next. And U.S. communities like California's Bay Area are preparing, collecting baby supplies and household goods to help refugees begin new lives.
We don't know exactly how many families are coming in. You know, it's anywhere between 400 families to 1,000 families.
But tens of thousands of Afghan allies are still trying to get out of Kabul, braving Taliban checkpoints, the chaos outside the airport, and threats of more terrorist attacks.
I think we're in the middle of a crisis, a humanitarian crisis.
Ahmad Shah Mohibi began working with U.S. troops in Afghanistan in 2006 when he was just 16. He was able to evacuate more than a dozen family members, but only after 4 failed attempts.
If my family, with all the contacts I have, cannot get into the airport in 4 days or 5 days, and imagine how other people get in.
He reunited with his sister-in-law over Skype.
I left everything. I left my home. I left my mother, which was very beloved to me.
Did you see the Taliban?
Yeah, we saw the Taliban. We all was afraid of Taliban, and our kids were afraid a lot. Every night there were gunshots.
For those who've been unable to board a flight, desperation is growing. U.S. troops are scheduled to leave Afghanistan Tuesday, and if the airport falls into the hands of militants, it's unclear if any airlines will return.
The United Nations Refugee Agency expects up to 500,000 Afghans could flee their homeland by the end of the year. They've asked neighboring countries to keep their borders open. Republican House lawmakers in Texas voted to approve a controversial voting rights bill. The bill bans drive-through and 24-hour voting, increases ID requirements for mail-in ballots, gives more powers to partisan poll watchers, and limits voter assistance. Republicans used claims of voter fraud to push the bill that Democrats say will limit people's ability to vote. JOMO Pride Fest kicking off tomorrow in Joplin, but today JOMO Pride welcomed Sarah Cunningham, the founder of Free Mom Hugs. It's going to be one of Pride Fest's special guest speakers. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to Sarah to learn what Free Mom Hugs is all about.
Sarah Cunningham and her organization Free Mom Hugs are on a mission to make sure LGBTQIA+ community members know they are loved and respected. And her journey started at home.
I do have a son who is gay. He officially came out when he was 21. I didn't take the news very well at all. It took some time to reconcile my faith, being a Christian woman, and getting educated on things like the history of human sexuality and science and evidence, and hearing from the gay community. And what I found is that so many have been alienated from their homes, from their church families, and from many parts of society.
Sarah's enlightenment about the struggles of the LGBTQIA+ community have strengthened the bond she has with her son. And she is hoping she can guide parents in similar situations on a similar path, while also supporting members of the gay community. And this mom is doing it through hugs.
I stood with my son at the Oklahoma City Pride Festival in 2014, and then in 2015 I made a homemade button that said Free Mom Hugs. And with anyone who made eye contact with me, I would say, "Could I offer you a free mom hug?" And the first hug I gave was to a beautiful young woman who said that it had been 4 years since she got a hug from her mother. And that's when I knew that hugs matter, and I whispered in her ear that, well, I'm a mom and here's a hug, and I'm not going to let go until you do.
That one hug has grown into an organization and movement that supports LGBTQIA+ members across the country. And Jomo Pride Fest organizers say they are thrilled to have Sarah spreading her message of love and acceptance in Joplin.
We invited her out here because in this part of the country, there are a lot of people whose families aren't as accepting, and we want to put that message forward that we are a community that if your family isn't there for you, we'll be your family, Not all family is blood, and not all blood is family.
In Joplin, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
If you'd like to learn more about Free Mom Hugs and the resources it provides, we've put a link to their website in this article on KOAMnewsnow.com. Rodeo Miami kicked off today at the Miami Fairgrounds. The rodeo features events including bronco riding, team roping, barrels, ladies breakaway roping, and bull riding. Organizers say there's almost 400 people competing, making it one of the biggest rodeo events in the whole region. There's also a free kids area featuring roping demonstrations, roping dummies. We're not talking about, these people aren't human. Barrel racing with stick horses and other fun activities.
Just looking to be a great weekend. I think we're going to look out on weather. It's going to be a little hot. But as far as just overall, I think it's the first time in 12 years we've not battled rain. So we're pretty pleased with that.
Gates are going to open again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Fun stuff right there, fun stuff. All right, a bit later, how one organization is trying to jumpstart the craft beer industry. An industry can pour a lot of money into local economies.
We have enjoyed at least a nice looking start to this weekend from downstream, make that Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri. You can tell how we had quite a bit of cloud cover during the afternoon, though. That's tried to bubble up into a few isolated showers or storms as highs went back into the mid-90s today. But the only storms, if you want to call them that materialized right around Table Rock Lake, Monette, Mount Vernon, Miller, that's about it. Thankfully, with mostly clear skies on top of us now, we're all enjoying a nice quiet night and a chance to cool off a bit with lows going back into the lower 70s for tonight. Still, I think a hot day for tomorrow, but there is a chance for us to get out of the 90s for highs within the next couple of days. Right now, we're definitely out of the 90s, but still warm at 84. Feels like 88 with the dew point sitting at 70 degrees. A couple spots north of Joplin already starting to fall back into the upper 70s. Everyone else, though, between 80 and about 84 degrees. Again, that's the air temperature, but since there's still a bit of humidity out there, it feels like the upper 80s in a couple of spots. But again, we're dropping back near 73 underneath a light breeze and mostly clear skies for the rest of the night. Not a lot else happening across the entire four-state region. Maybe a couple of daytime storms with the bubbling heat and humidity around St. Louis and along the Kansas-Nebraska state line. The bigger picture at the surface shows our next front to the north coming just close enough come Sunday and Monday to give us a better chance for at least some scattered showers and storms. That will start to come our way once the jet starts to come back our way as well. But for today, we were on the hot side of the jet, and that's where we'll still find ourselves for tomorrow. Before we go back into the heat, though, at least somewhat of the heat, we will see temperatures looking okay as we go into Saturday morning. We'll say mostly clear skies, temperatures falling back generally to 73 degrees, thanks to mostly clear skies and the light south breeze at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Going throughout the morning, let's hold on to mostly sunny skies. Then as we start to warm up quite a bit, partly sunny skies during the afternoon. Highs still, though, right around 92 degrees. And again, the slimmest chance, just like today, a random shower or storm, primarily in our southern counties. Most of that still, like today, will just stay dry once again as we venture throughout our Saturday. And with another little down tick in temperatures, it's not going to feel so muggy or miserable outside tomorrow. Yes, it'll still feel like the mid to upper 90s, but a lot better than pushing the triple digits like we did throughout a good portion of this week. Let me show you the rest of the future track forecast here. This is Ida. This is going to make landfall potentially as a major hurricane, either a 3 or a 4, doesn't make a difference. It's going to be a mess along the Louisiana Gulf Coast, but around here, we're not going to worry about Ida. Some of the moisture from that at least will help to work with the front as that jet stream works back on top of us. That is what's going to give us a better shot for scattered storms Sunday and Monday before that front skedaddles back to the north by Tuesday. As that front comes in, though, Jordan, temperatures look okay. 92 tomorrow, upper 80s. Nice change of pace Sunday and Monday before we go right back into the 90s for the rest of next week.
All right, Nick Kelly, thank you so much. Coming up in sports, Joplin Eagles and Webb City Cardinals meeting in a big Week 1 matchup. Also, the Seneca Indians playing their first game on their new field with a new head coach. Jacob Leonard has the highlights next.
Tonight is opening night for high school football in Missouri. Now, it's no surprise where we're starting the show, so we're not going to waste any time. Let's get to it. Webb City hosts Joplin to kick off the season this evening. The Eagles try for their third straight win against the Cards. It's Webb City striking first tonight. Cade Wilson in from 8 yards out. 2-point conversion makes it 8-0 home team. Joplin answers late in the first, always right, around the right side. Eagles cut it to 8-6 with that. Cards getting tricky here. Cole Vaden tosses to Wilson. Wilson pulls up, finds Eric Fitch. Really nice grab there. Dupree Jackson finishes the drive with a rushing score. That was a back and forth first half, always right. Again going to work to Hudson Moore this time over the middle. Wright's first passing touchdown of the season. Other end, Webb City gets the lead back to double digits. Cade Wilson, second score of the first half. Cardinals up 24-13, but Joplin under 20 seconds to half. Wright to Landon Atherton. Wright 5 total touchdowns so far tonight. Eagles lead Webb City 38-24 right now with about 11 to go. Well, new coach, new field for the Seneca Indians this year. Seneca opens against Marshfield in their first game under Cody Hilburn. Down by 7, Ethan Fritchie hands off to Jackson Mars, Seneca's first touchdown of the season. Next quarter, Jackson Graham getting to the outside. Nice run here. Indians within 1. Then with just a few minutes left before half, Mars again bullies his way into the end zone. His second touchdown of the night. Indians have their first lead. Back and forth game. Seneca, though, leads Marshfield right now 31-28 in the fourth. The Kansas City Chiefs also in action tonight. They play their final preseason game against the Minnesota Vikings. Kansas City leads 28-10 with 11 minutes to go. Former Webb City Cardinal Zach Davidson, now a tight end for the Vikings, has 1 catch for 9 yards against Kansas City. Now that's it for sports, and be sure to switch over to KOAM at 10 for 4 State Friday night. There we'll have more high school football highlights and scores from opening night in Missouri. We're back with more news after this.
Craft beer is a growing industry, and as Fox's Chris Cato in Florida shows us, now there's a nonprofit called Beer Culture that wants to expand the market by adding diversity and opportunities.
Joanne Mumbe loves the variety of craft beer in Tampa Bay.
Beer is for everyone. Every culture has a different beer that they drink. There's so many styles you can have, from like sour ones, light ones, kind of malty ones, strong ones. I feel like there's something for everyone to have, and I love that about it.
But she wasn't seeing a lot of diversity at craft beer functions or within the industry itself.
I used to live in New York, just kind of being the only person kind of going into knowing that I was going to be the only one that looked like me.
She's now part of a movement to change that. Joanne recently received a scholarship from the nonprofit Beer Culture.
I work to increase diversity, equity, and inclusion within the craft beverage space. So we do that through partnerships and creating opportunities within our local communities.
I was really just impressed by all the programs they had, the charity work they were doing, and really diversifying the craft beer space.
We offer a scholarship here locally with USF. So that's a $5,000 scholarship in order to go to their brewing arts program.
It was, yeah. Letitia Cook is a craft beer lover who co-founded Beer Culture a few years ago.
We realized we were oftentimes the unicorns in the room. It was just us, the only people of color. And that lasted for pretty much a majority of our journey.
Chris Johnson is the vice president of Beer Culture and the co-owner of Green Bench Brewing Company in St. Petersburg, which provides opportunities for experience in the beer industry.
We do our best to try to facilitate anyone that kind of goes through the Beer Culture programs.
Having access to like all these mentors and just people in the industry that are professionals that really want to help the craft beer space become more diverse.
Joanne is working at the bar while getting her certification.
Long run, I want to become a certified Cicerone, of course, and definitely want to do more kind of beer pairings, beer and food dinners.
Some people would compare it to like a sommelier for wine, but it pretty much just tells you that you know enough in order to practice this.
The craft beer industry is certainly pouring more life into the local economy.
I think we're over 40 currently in Pinellas County, enough so that we wanted to go through and brand it the Gulf Coast, as in G-U-L-P Coast, because of the number of breweries that were here.
Beer culture is tapping into an expanding market.
They'll come to us and say, like, I didn't even know this was possible. I didn't even know I could do this. And hopefully that becomes a thing of the past.
Future looks bright. It looks colorful. It looks, you know, like the variety of beer that we love.
Gonna check out the first trailer to the movie Spencer. Hollywood Nation, coming your way. Kristen Stewart transforms into Princess Diana, and Benedict Cumberbatch plays a cruel rancher in a new Western drama. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with the latest from the Hollywood Nation.
Cumberbatch channels his inner cowboy. The Babysitters Club gets a start date, and Stewart goes full royal in the Hollywood Nation.
They're waiting for you.
Kristen Stewart makes her official debut as Princess Diana in the first trailer to Spencer. Stewart portrays the late Princess of Wales in the new drama that takes place over 3 days during the Christmas holiday in the 90s, when Lady Di decided to leave her marriage to Prince Charles. It will be released in theaters November 5th.
We're the Babysitters Club.
The Babysitters Club will be back in action this fall. Netflix announced the second season will premiere October 11th. The streamer also dropped a set of first-look images that feature new additions: Kendra Sanchez, Vivian Watson, and Anae Lee. The series is based on the best-selling book series of the same name and follows a group of friends running a babysitting business in Stony Brook, Connecticut. And speaking of Netflix, the streamer released the trailer to the Western drama The Power of the Dog. It takes place in 1925 Montana, and Benedict Cumberbatch plays a cruel rancher who torments his brother and his newlywed wife after moving onto his property. The star-studded cast includes real-life couple Jesse Plemons and Kirsten Dunst. The film will get a limited release in theaters starting November 17th and will be available on Netflix December 1st. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
We were just talking that a Western wouldn't be a Western without someone whistling. It's true when you think about it. That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with a new manatee exhibition in Mexico. Have a great, safe weekend. Please think about our troops. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.